Hey, Rollie.
What's up, Nicole?
Okay, you remember how congestion pricing was going to happen?
Yeah.
And then it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it was going to happen?
Yeah.
And then it wasn't going to happen again?
Yeah.
And then it was going to happen but be cheaper?
Yeah.
And then King Trump was elected and said it wasn't going to happen?
Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah. Okay, Nicole, today we're talking about a little thing called congestion pricing.
I've heard of it.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, well, then episode over.
Great.
Done and dusted.
I'm going to get out of here.
We did an episode of Climate Town about congestion pricing, which if you're listening, check it out. I think we did a pretty good job. But we had to cut a ton of clips, and I want to show you some of those insane clips. And also, a huge development has cropped up that I think is my favorite thing that's happened in 2025.
So I specifically have been avoiding all congestion pricing news. Last week, when whatever this is happened, I was out of the country. I was in Scotland, and you messaged me specifically to be like, avoid all congestion pricing news because I want to tell you about this on the podcast. I do think I saw a small spoiler just from scrolling Blue Sky, but I don't think I got any details from it.
I would be shocked if you didn't catch a little bit of wind of this, but I'm happy to hear that you didn't go seek it out.
I did not go seek it out. And I truly don't know any details about it. I just saw one headline.
Awesome. All right. So, and the third reason why I wanted to do a congestion pricing episode on the podcast is because this is sort of a subset of climate denial known colloquially as car brain. Have you heard familiar with the term car brain, of course?
Of course I'm familiar with the term car brain.
Now, I just want to say to the listeners, you got to pitch it like that. I know. You probably taught me the term car brain in the first place, but you have to pitch it so that you can bring it up.
Sure, I'm the audience surrogate.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And yet you know probably more about urban planning than I ever will, so.
I don't know about that.
Well, I'm not going to go get a degree in it. All right. So basically, car brain is the term for just not being able to imagine what a world would look like that's not dominated by cars. So it's hard to think about how climate change is influenced heavily by automobiles. You don't think about the damages that cars do to both the city infrastructure and also to people and bicyclists as they're driving by.
You don't think about all the ways that cars actually make your life worse.
Yeah. It's
not even just in terms of danger, but just in terms of like convenience and the amount of time and money you spend on stuff.
And I will say, everybody has some amount of car brain. I've been driving a car and I see like a cyclist or a pedestrian right in my way, and that little thought of like, I could probably just go and murder them. That's car brain. That's the car brain speaking. Don't murder anybody, but everyone's got a little bit of it.
You heard it here on the Climate Deniers Playbook. Don't murder anybody.
That's rule number one.
The official stance of the podcast is don't murder anybody.
New law.
New rule.
New rule. Man, I really need to brush up.
Very old law,
on my
as a matter
Bill
of fact.
Maher. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's maybe the thou shalt not kill.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So we're doing a congestion pricing episode, and I want to note we shouldn't be. Okay, congestion pricing is just urban planning. It's like doing a whole episode about stoplights or one-way streets. Congestion pricing is not something that we should have to belabor, but we are because it got a little political. Now, just a super quick primer on congestion pricing. And Nicole, I know you already know what this is.
I'm the audience surrogate. Rollie, what's congestion pricing?
I'm so glad you asked, Nicole. Okay, congestion pricing is based on the principle that traffic is a bad thing, but it's also an inefficiency. So it's created when supply and demand is out of whack, right? The supply of roads is pretty constrained, and a over demand for being on the roads creates congestion, gridlock, traffic, and that's bad. Everyone piles in, and everyone goes super slow. That's not a good thing. So when supply is low and demand is high, you can just increase the price to bring supply and demand back into balance and get rid of gridlock traffic, which is a net positive for everybody.
And it's worth noting that in this case, the price before was zero.
Yeah.
It was functionally free.
You can't make it cheaper unless you give people money to pile into the streets, which it sort of seems like they were because people were just cramming into the streets. So it's a very simple economics 101 supply and demand. Congestion pricing just places a little bit of a price on the roads to reduce congestion. That's it. Toll roads are a great example of this. Cordon pricing is another great example of this. And I want to note the price alone reduces traffic.
Right.
Right? It is cutting out the people who were just, maybe I'll take a trip in the car. They're like, no, it's now expensive. I won't take the trip in the car. You're cutting out a certain subset of people. Now, if you put the price at $10,000, you're cutting out a pretty fucking huge subset of people. If you put the price at 1 penny, you're not cutting out anybody at all. So it's about like, where do you put the price to cut what percent of the gridlock you're trying to cut?
Yes.
That's congestion pricing. Now, I will note, just having a price is enough to reduce congestion because of supply and demand. But if you have a price, you collect a bunch of money, and the idea is that you use that money to benefit everybody equally.
Everybody gets a jet ski.
That's right. Everyone gets a jet ski. And since the toll technically decreases a little bit access to transportation, probably a really smart place to put all that money is in public transportation. Make it cheaper, make it better, make it faster, make it more accessible. It is a regressive tax because higher income people are able to pay that tax a lot easier than lower income people. So in that way, you're sort of hurting lower income people, but then you take all that fucking money and you pour it into a public good that everybody can use, including lower income people, and you've raised everybody's boats up instead of lowering just lower income people.
Yeah, you can basically use that money to turn public transit into a substitute good, which is a year one econ term from the only economics class I ever had to take in grad school, which just basically means that you can interchange them. So if you make public transit as accessible and as fast and as safe as a car, there's not necessarily a difference between those two options.
Or ideally, faster, more accessible, safer.
Ideally.
And finally, about congestion pricing, I heard about congestion pricing from you.
Hell yeah.
So thank you for letting me mansplain congestion pricing on our podcast.
Honestly, Rollie, thank you for letting me be chair 2 on this one.
Hell yeah.
Much easier for me.
And against all odds, New York did congestion pricing. They installed $500 million worth of camera and tech so that they could monitor cars going in and out of a congestion zone. And on January 5th, 2025, they started congestion pricing.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, insert rap air horn there. The rules of congestion pricing are very simple. If you enter into Manhattan anywhere below 61st Street, you pay $9 once per day. Okay, you're a car, you drive from 86th Street to 54th Street, you pay $9. If you want to drive out and back as many times as you want, still just that one $9 payment for the day.
Or like a taxi driver, for example.
Right. Yeah, and it's just that $9 payment. I will say trucks pay a little bit more, motorcycles pay a little bit less, and rideshare vehicles pay a reduced fee. So you don't have to like, hey, you're an Uber and you're taking people all around. You're not tacking on $9 to every ride. You're tacking on a reduced aggregated price for the whole day. So I would venture a guess that you would never know the difference between a congestion pricing Uber ride and a non-congestion pricing
Yeah, you,
Uber
the
ride.
rider, probably would not.
Now, I want to note that if you are going around just the edge of Manhattan, the border, Manhattan's an island, so if you're going around just the outside highways, you don't pay the toll. You only pay the toll when you enter into Manhattan and become traffic in Manhattan, in the actual city. So now that is estimated to collect about $500 million fucking dollars from cars because there's 1 million cars in Manhattan all the time.
Over what time span?
Per year.
Per year.
$500 million per year in Manhattan, and they're going to take all that money and give it to the MTA, which is the subways and the buses.
So in theory, this is an infrastructure investment that would pay for itself in its first year, because it cost $500 million to set up all the cameras and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Like congestion pricing prints money, effectively. Yeah. Like we are subsidizing the absolute shit out of cars in Manhattan. And this is just like, oh, right, let's turn on the cash register just a little bit to sort of try to more accurately price the damage that cars do to the city. We're not getting anywhere close. But this $9 fee is like a very small, I want to say a nominal fee for cars driving in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Just from a real estate perspective, it costs you so much to buy an apartment in Manhattan, and yet it is free to drive on those roads that are right around all that high value real estate. It costs pennies to park in that high value real estate.
In like the most expensive real estate in the world. So if you had, a 1-bedroom apartment, let's say that's the size of 3 parking spaces, that in Manhattan could cost you over $6,000 a month. And if you're parking on the street for free, that is like a crazy use of that very expensive real estate.
Yeah, and that's just like one tiny example of how we subsidize cars. We also don't make cars pay for the pollution that they create. We don't make drivers in particular pay for actually constructing the roads. That comes largely out of the taxpayer's pocket. So you, Nicole, if you didn't own a car, you wouldn't really get the benefit of the free roads that everybody who owns a car gets. We are subsidizing the shit out of cars. It's just how we do things in America. And the congestion pricing fee is like, let's just take one little cube back for the people of New York.
A little subsidy. And it's again worth pointing out that subsidy for cars makes sense almost nowhere in America, but least of all in Manhattan, arguably the most walkable place in the country.
That's right. Walkable. And also we have a subway that runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is very unique to the globe. A lot of subways, I think most shut down overnight, so you can do some like cleaning and maintenance. New York City, hell no.
We'll never maintain the subway.
You want to get to Ditmas Park at 3:45 in the morning? No fucking problem. It will take you an hour and a half. But the point is, we're taking that $500 million a year, we're dunking it into the MTA so that we can actually use that money for public transportation instead of just for roads that people get for free. And so you might be asking out there, well, sure, you turned on congestion pricing, but how is it working?
How is it working?
That's a great question, Nicole. I would like you to just go ahead and read this section from an article from Curbed and just go ahead and say the title and the date.
Okay, the date is April 15th, 2025, so pretty recent at the time of recording, and the article is called "How Well Is Congestion Pricing Doing?" Very. Okay.
See, it's not a question if they answer it right there.
It's a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
The Holland Tunnel at rush hour has 65% fewer delays than it did before, and the time it takes to get through it is down 48%. In those 100 days, 6 million fewer cars drove into Lower Manhattan than had done so a year earlier. In March, the decrease was 80,000 per day. In the congestion zone, we're seeing half as many traffic-related injuries. The bus routes in Manhattan are so much less clogged that the drivers are being forced to slow down to maintain their schedules.
That's right. And just a couple more stats for you. The ridership on Metro North, which is a commuter line, is up by about 8%. Subway and bus ridership is up. Foot traffic is up. And you're thinking, oh, maybe these cars are bringing people in who are shopping at the stores, and now there's not as many people shopping, right?
That was exactly what I was thinking.
That's a concern I can see you have, is when you shop in New York.
I always take a car, and then I get a bunch of shopping bags, and I spin around in the street with all of them because I'm having such a great shopping spree.
It's a shopping spree. Okay, this is from Streets Blog. According to Affinity, a credit card sales data aggregator, retail sales are on pace to be $900 million higher south of 60th Street in 2025 compared to the same period last year. So that's almost a bill.
Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me as somebody who is bad with money. Because I know if I like have an errand to run and then I'm walking down the street and I see something I like in a window, I'll go look in the store just to look.
Just to check it out.
Just to look. And then when you get inside, they have so many nice things. And maybe I'll find the sweater that will fix everything.
That
Rollie.
Sweater you're going to find is the key to all of your problems.
That's what I'm saying. And so then I buy it. Or maybe more realistically for other people, you're walking and you get thirsty and you walk in somewhere and
Jamba Juice.
Oh, love a Jamba Juice.
What's your favorite? What's your Jamba Juice order?
They have one that's like a protein peanut butter banana situation.
Weird. Okay. Sorry, I was ready to be very into whatever you said, but that for some reason that hit me wrong. I was going to do a berry razzmatazz.
Look, I love a berry razzmatazz also. Excuse me for liking something that feels a little more like a milkshake.
You're right.
All right,
sorry.
We're getting off topic.
All right.
The point is, you don't walk past a window and stop in the store if you're in a car. Certainly not in Manhattan where I'm like, if I get out of the car now, I'm never going to find a parking space or I'm going to lose this cab or whatever. Definitely not.
Yeah, and when foot traffic is up, that's what stores are after. They're not after car traffic. They're after foot traffic because cars don't kill people. People kill people. And just a little note, there's a study from the Partnership for New York City that calculated that time lost from being stuck in traffic congestion cost the New York metropolitan area about $20 billion a year.
That's how much it feels like it costs me personally when I'm stuck in a cab in traffic and I see the meter running up. And I'm like, what am I doing?
Why did I think a cab was going to get me there faster?
It's never faster. I've lived here since 2008. Every time I take a cab, I regret it. And yet, when I'm running late, I'm like, well, I guess I have no choice. And then it's always slower.
Just take the L. Take the L as in loss, and then take the L train, subway, and just be 5 minutes late instead of 45 minutes late.
And out $80.
Yes, it's crazy. I cannot. Anyway, the point, honestly, that adage is now wrong because congestion pricing is taking 80,000 cars off the road so regularly. So maybe a cab is actually faster now.
We'll have to time it out.
We'll
do a Patreon episode where we do like a Top Gear style. I take the train and you take a cab to the same location and we see who gets there first.
I would like somebody to go back and every time we say we'll do a Patreon episode about this thing and then we just have to do it. I think that would actually be like a hell of a summer.
That'd be
Maybe
fun.
Season 4. Season 4.
I would love that.
Is all Nicole's offhanded Patreon challenges. And just anecdotally, like if you are driving your car into Manhattan under a congestion pricing regime, it's actually a more pleasant experience. Mm-hmm. And I gotta imagine that $9 is a pretty small price to pay for getting to work potentially a half hour, an hour early because you're not stuck in rush hour traffic. Even if you have to pay the $9, it's not just a loss. It's not just a $9 loss. You're getting something for it.
Right.
You might be compelled to pay the $9, but it's like it comes with benefits.
Yeah.
It feels bad to be stuck in traffic.
Oh, yeah.
I've been stuck on a subway underground, and it doesn't feel as bad as being stuck in a car that's moving at a snail's pace.
Yeah.
I don't exactly know what it is, but there's something psychological when they're stuck in gridlock traffic and honking and freaking out.
The honking.
There's no honking in a subway.
No? Well, that's not true. Sometimes the trains honk. And then one time a guy brought a goose on the train.
Nicole, that was an episode of The Big Comfy Couch, okay? That wasn't New York City. Do trains honk? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just don't see that as a honk.
Did you have to remind yourself what a honk sounded like to determine if you never heard a train make that noise?
Here's what I needed to do. I needed to put myself in the subway.
You had to become the train.
I had to become the train, and that's how trains talk. Most of the time, they're just going like this, because they don't grease the wheels.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have $50 million a month. So
way to get us back on track,
Rollie. Thank you so much. And I think it's worth noting here that the vast majority of people coming into the congestion zone are not driving. Let me just throw some stats at you. This is according to a transportation economist, Charles Komanoff.
Is that the guy that we did that show with?
Yes.
Who's unbelievably smart?
Okay, we should have footage of that show. We should put that footage of the show on Patreon.
That'd be great if they have it. It's listeners at home. We Rollie and I did a show together about congestion pricing, and they had this guy on the show, and we all played a game that was like a challenge at the end where the hosts were like, we will give you a route. We'll show you a route on the map between two places, and there's going to be toll roads along those places, and you have to guess how much the toll would be to get from point A to point B. And this guy got it within $1 every time.
Most of the time, it was penny perfect.
Yeah.
Which is my new show on ABC. Most of the time, he actually got the exact right number.
It's crazy.
Because he just knew the tolls.
The crowd fucking lost
I cannot believe how popular that bit was. Nicole and I walked out on stage and we're like, I guess we're going to have to give a lot of razzle-dazzle because this bit isn't going to fly.
And then this guy just getting the toll right to the penny got a standing ovation. It was wild.
Oh, man. Charles Komanoff, you're a real one, and you're also real good with statistics. He is doing a ton of data aggregation. So 57% of people are getting into the congestion pricing zone using the subway. Then another 19% are using the other trains like New Jersey Transit, Long Island Railroad, and buses. Choo-choo trains, of course, steam engines. So that's right away 76%.
That seems like most people.
We haven't broken into cars yet. Just 16% of people are driving cars and trucks in, and then another 4% are using rideshare apps and taxis.
How many people are riding those electric unicycle things where you have to have a full face helmet because if you fall forward, it'll completely destroy your jaw?
That's a great question. There are exactly 100 people doing that at all times.
Okay, great.
And when one dies, because of course they died, another one sprouts up in Bushwick.
Yeah.
It's like a spawn point.
Got it.
And then they zip across
got it.
Manhattan Bridge and just get plastered.
It's a sort of Edge of Tomorrow situation.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, all 100 have been bled on by the Omega spiders. And then there are a couple of other ways to get into Manhattan, including the 1.1% of people who bicycle in.
Those are rookie numbers. We got to get those numbers up.
That's true. I mean, truly, the city bikes are so freaking cheap these days.
Yeah.
Just like take a city bike in and leave it, Don't even redock it.
I mean, one of the other advantages of getting cars off the road via congestion pricing or any other mechanism is it does make it safer for people to bike. I think a lot of people avoid biking because they're understandably afraid of getting hit by a car. So potentially we could see those numbers go up. I think there's also the fact that like people are going to work and wearing their work clothes, and it does take a while to get from like where I live in Brooklyn into Manhattan. But hopefully those numbers do go up as we see more congestion pricing happening.
So those are the numbers on congestion pricing, and that should be the end of the episode. Congestion pricing is a success. Clap our hands.
Perfect. We're done. I'm going to go catch an early screening of Sinners with Michael B. Jordan.
10:35 a.m. Sinners. No, unfortunately, Nicole, the numbers pale in comparison to how people feel about congestion pricing.
Okay.
Not people in general, a very specific subset of people that I think will become clear when you see this clip.
Okay.
Because it's so expensive to drive through Manhattan now. It can be $9 and more depending on if you have one of those little cards that gets you through the tunnel. What is that called? The Easy Pass.
Yeah.
So it starts at $9. That's a lot of money if you're a cab driver. That's a lot of money if you're a doorman and you have to drive through Midtown and go to the Upper East Side to work for your building. And I've talked to a lot of doormen on the Upper East Side, and they're complaining about this because they're saying it's costing us so much more money to go to work.
Every day after work, Ainsley goes to the local watering hole where she and all of her doorman friends shoot the shit over congestion pricing.
It is just such an obvious lie on all fronts. Number one, she doesn't talk to a bunch of doormen who work on the Upper East Side.
She maybe talks to the one in her building, and my guess is she doesn't even make eye contact with
I bet
that
she
guy.
doesn't know that guy's name. Okay, Ainsley is trying to make us believe that she knows a bunch of doormen on the Upper East Side that she's spoken to, all of whom live either in Manhattan, the most expensive real estate in the country, or somewhere in Brooklyn, and their route to work is not along the East Side Highway where they would avoid the congestion pricing toll. They go into the heart of Manhattan and drive through Midtown to get to 80th Street.
Yes.
That's just not a thing people do.
There's maybe one person who does that, and congestion pricing should convince that person to stop doing that.
There's one person who does that, and they are a master of disguise. And they put on different hats and mustaches, and they talk to Ainsley.
And every day they're talking to Ainsley.
Exactly right. I mean, maybe that's actually kind of a good way to influence Fox and Friends.
Yeah.
We dress up as different people and just say like, hey, my neighbor was saved by an immigrant from a fire.
Yeah.
And just keep telling her that. And she's like, oh, these immigrants are incredible firefighters.
Yeah.
And also the cab drivers that are paying the congestion pricing fee, that is one time per day. That's an additional $9 over the course of many, many hours which they are able to pick up more riders because there's fewer cars.
There is an argument to be made that particularly like with the advent of ride shares and stuff, the margins for yellow taxi drivers are quite thin and they are quite economically precarious. So that $9 could be tough for them. But theoretically, you should be picking up way more rides and spending less time stuck in traffic. And so if you're getting more fares, I'm not a cab driver, but that in theory should compensate for that $9 and then some.
Nicole, I've talked to about 250 cab drivers today. All right, well, let's keep listening because maybe they're going to make a really good point about how congestion pricing,
they so often do,
it disadvantages some group that we haven't thought about yet.
So everybody's complaining about it.
No one likes it.
And no one at all.
Except
and so
for Kathy.
I was talking to Pearl. Pearl has never had a political conversation with me in the makeup room.
Do you even know her last name?
Fontaine.
Okay.
I probably shouldn't have given it out.
Because it's almost like Madonna.
Yeah.
All you hear is Pearl.
It's just Sweet Pearl.
Okay, we've just doxed this lady.
What, we've doxed this lady. This guy is being a total dick to his co-host.
Yes.
There's like, oh yeah, what's your fucking assistant's last name? It's like, why? What are you gonna do with that information? If he's right, you expose your friend on Fox News, national television, as an asshole.
Yeah.
And if he's wrong, he's gonna tell him her last name.
Yeah.
Anyway, Pearl never talks about politics.
Yeah.
And
Probably because she's a Democrat. And this is a job.
This came up on the screen for Fox and Friends first. She goes, what is wrong with her? What is like, no one in the city likes this. And I just feel like this is another one of those common sense issues, as you've been talking about, Ainsley, that you're giving Donald Trump and his administration another win. You're letting him have New Yorkers on this issue. No one is for this.
So according to Fox News, no one is for this.
Right.
Which I guess this is how they are spinning it. Maybe if Pearl only watches Fox News, which I really doubt, Pearl Fontaine is exclusively watching. I mean, that name rips, though. Pearl.
It's great.
My name is Pearl Fontaine. Yeah, so anyway, like, congestion pricing is now political. Fox News hates congestion pricing, and if I had to speculate, I would say it's because Trump hates congestion pricing.
Oh, shit. Is that Trump's music?
What's Trump's music?
Young man. There's no way to feel down. I said,
And
young
the crowd
man.
goes mild, I guess.
Yeah, the crowd goes, everybody in the audience starts doing the dance.
Yeah, it's the T, 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 T. Sorry, if you can't see this, it's me doing the Trump dance where he does sort of the double shoulder
double
length
jerk
hand
off,
job.
yeah.
Shoulder length, shoulder height.
I mean, shoulder to shoulder, that's still pretty big.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, a shoulder length hand job would be that's a shoulder length hand career.
Yeah.
So Trump on the campaign trail hated congestion pricing. It wasn't implemented until January 5th, 2025. So he on the campaign trail had no real way to say what it would or wouldn't do.
That's never stopped him before.
And you're exactly right. It didn't stop him from saying it was going to destroy the economy of Manhattan. Everyone hates this. It's an attack on the lower class. This is all Trump rhetoric. And even though we've seen the numbers, and now that we actually have tried it and it works really well, we're like, oh, great. So he's going to, modify his statement and his position. Of course not. He still hates congestion pricing. And so all of the sort of Trump sycophantic groups also hate congestion pricing for reasons known only unto them. And that's the end of the preview. Thanks for listening. If you want to hear the whole episode, head on over to our Patreon page where we got the whole thing ad-free. Now, do not worry. We got a bunch of episodes right here for free, but if you want to support the show and hear us cracking wise about other people's mamas, the Patreon page is the place to do it. I hope to see you there, but obviously, you do you. Bye.